I would like to thank my Sasser for sending me the story right here that is coming out of the Texas Tribune, where they are basically talking about how the Republicans in Texas want to keep Hall T women, or Hall T, I should just say, out of women's school sports teams. Now, I will say this. Y'all know I do not lean left, nor do I lean right. I think both parties are trash mutually. However, when it comes to this topic right here, the people that lean right usually are thinking with the right part of their head, opposed to the ones who lean left who just ain't thinking at all. Or maybe they are thinking, but they're, not thinking logically. And I've noticed that, many conservatives and, Republicans and everything like that, they usually are the ones that are more, I guess you can say, laser focused when it comes to something like this, like, because they see the agenda at hand. A lot of them see the agenda at hand, just like we see the agenda at hand. Now, 46, Mr. Touchy Feely, signed one of those several executive orders talking about how they're going to allow Hall T to participate in women's sports, and that's on any scale, whether it's in high school, college, and professional. Mainly, I guess you can say the WNBA because they keep like harping on that, but probably other areas as well. And people in Texas was like, hold on. Well, while what you're doing could be on a federal level, we still have say on a state level what we are going to allow. And of course, I'm almost certain that the academy, basically, mainly Hall T, is going to be up in arms about it and say something. I already know. But like I said in plenty of my other videos, to those women's groups out there, y'all opened the floodgates. You opened up Pandora's box to allow this to even become an idea. Y'all should have pushed. Well, I knew y'all wasn't, but you pushed forward. But the people tried to push back against it, but their voices got deafened every time they said, oh, they're being this and that phobic. They hide behind calling you this and that phobic all of the time, just to shut you up. And there's no logic or reasoning behind why they do it. They just do it. So I'm going to go ahead and read this article and see what they're talking about. Lawmakers have filed legislation that would ban Hall T girls and women who attend public K through 12 schools, colleges, and universities from playing on single-sex sports teams designated for girls and women. See, they can control what happens on a school level. Now, on a professional level, they probably don't have that much of a say. They said if y'all want to do it on a professional level, like with the WNBA or any other sporting event such as that, then go right on ahead and you can go ahead and do that. And I'm actually going to bring a point forward from a tweet that I saw in relation to this that made so much sense. And believe it or not, the tweet came from a PC man. I know there is they say a broke clock is right twice a day. There it is. Texas Republicans are again trying to limit the way Hall T youth can participate in athletics. Lawmakers have filed legislation that would ban Hall T girls and women who attend the public K through 12 schools, colleges, and universities from playing on single-sex sports teams designated for girls and women. One bill filed by Representative Valerie Swanson is similar to others filed across the country that are characterized by conservative advocates as trying to maintain fairness in women's sports. Idaho passed a law last year called the Fairness in Women's Sports Act. In Montana, a similar bill called the Save Women's Sports Act advanced to the state Senate this week. According to a tally from the American Civil Liberties Union, 9 other states have similar bills moving through the legislative process this year, including Mississippi, Connecticut, and Tennessee. According to the Equality Texas, more states are also filing bills this year that would apply these policies to colleges as well. The University Interscholastic League of Texas, which governs high school athletics and extracurricular activities, relies on students' birth certificates to determine whether they participate in men's or women's athletics. Notably, the UIL will recognize changes made to birth certificates to alter their gender marker. Now listen to that. They said the UIL will recognize changes to the birth certificates to alter their gender markers. So basically, if they get their birth certificate changed from male to female, they're going to identify them as what they changed it to and not what they were born as. But they say that this is fairness. Remember how I put, if y'all follow me on Twitter, remember how I said a couple weeks ago how fairness and equality is a myth? Or I didn't say fairness, but you might as well throw that in there too. Is a myth. Here's another example of that. Now I can sit here and say, I don't watch women's sports like that. At one point, yeah, the WNBA was popping, but not anymore. But I do also believe that they should have something that is specifically for themselves, separate from the guys. But here's another thing where they messed up. Thanks to a lot of those women's groups and them feminists thinking that they can do everything better than a man, or try to play against men and everything like that. Like Ronda Rousey, since she wanted to fight Floyd Mayweather, for instance. Now you're probably going to get your chance, but the only difference is they're going to identify as a female just so they can slither their way in. See, a lot of this, like I said, falls upon the ones who are mad. I mean, like I said, they have a right to be upset. They do. But also at the same time, they also have to take responsibility for pretty much allowing this to even become a thing. All they did was piggyback off of what you were doing. Or what you were saying, equality for all, fairness for all, let them do this and let them do that. And now that they want to let them in, now you're mad. Like I said, I get it. I get why you're upset, because this is, this was carved out for you. But now, because of that, you're realizing that maybe it wasn't such a good idea to try to compete against men. Maybe it wasn't a good idea to welcome Hall T with open arms the way that we did, and so much, and so much more, and so forth. Texas universities follow National College Athletic Association rules for division athletics, and some apply similar policies to intramural sports. Texas A&M University and University of Houston allow students to play on the intramural team of their gender they identify. This year's legislative session could see yet another wave of debates over civil rights for the academy youth. The next 4 years are likely to feature federal battles for Republican-led states, with the Biden administration already pledging to apply discrimination protections to sexual orientation and gender identity, and rolling back the order that banned Hall T people from serving in the U.S. military. Now, pay attention to that part right there. I was actually listening to a live stream that Kendra D, shout out to the Crimson Cure, had did last week, when she was talking about, maybe, I don't know if it was this topic, but it was something else closely related to this. And I was saying how, watch what's going to happen. They're going to play in these sports and everything like that, or be able to get the allowance to play. The women who are biologically born female are going to get upset, and they're going to say, I don't want to play with them. Not because there's another for two reasons. One, because they're not another woman. That like their movements, because they have testosterone, is going to make them more aggressive against me. Like, what if they trying to block and I get knocked all the way back? That's not that's a difference right there. Or because their endurance, muscle endurance, the muscle endurance of a man is way different than the muscle endurance of a woman. They may feel like a woman in that moment, but they're not a woman. But also, if they say that, what's going to end up happening, because they're going to have so many protection laws for them in place, thanks to 46, and kind of rolled in by 44. Because of that, if they say that I don't want to play with this person, not because of their lifestyle, but because it's not fair, they're going to look over that first part and say this person doesn't want to play with us because they're T-phobic. Mark my words. I'm telling you, it's coming. They're going to start labeling more women in sports with that title. Or they're going to force the women to just deal with it so that won't happen. Because the minute that happens, is going to be one big media firestorm coming upon them. And what may end up happening, if they're on a collegiate level, the woman might end up getting kicked off the team, and she's going to lose her scholarship. Or if it's a woman in the WNBA and she says something, she'll get kicked off the team. And they don't make that much money. Like, I know people in regular blue collar jobs, or regular jobs, who make more than they do a year. I'm telling you, that's what's going to end up happening. I have a feeling in my gut that is what's going to transpire. In previous sessions, Texas Republicans, like those in other states, unsuccessfully pursued so-called bathroom bills that would prevent Hall T people from using bathrooms that match their gender identity. Now the Academy advocates said conservatives across the country are latching on to issues related to athletics and healthcare as the latest way to spread fear about Hall T children using inaccurate information despite opposition from medical and athletic associations. There it is right there. I'm telling you, that's what's going to continue to happen. That's, in other words, they want to call them T-phobic. They just didn't say it. But laid out, that's what it is. This is Bathroom Bill 3.0. Angela Hale, senior advisor at Equality Texas. It's very unsettling to Hall T children who just want to live. They don't want to have to come down to the Capitol and testify every single legislative session just so they can live and go about their daily lives. The thing is, they're not restricting them from doing anything. They're just dishing out logic. And notice how they keep saying Academy Youth. They mentioned it a few times so far in this article that I've read. That means they have now successfully got their target, which is the children. Those whose minds are still developing. Start them young and then send them out into the world. And then you flesh out another set, send them out into the world. Flesh out another set and send them out into the world and just keep it going like a revolving door, like a factory, like an assembly line. They keep saying that. They didn't say Hall Academy, period. They said Academy Youth. Republican lawmakers also filed a bill that would make it a crime for doctors and mental health providers to provide care to children that affirms their gender identity or prescribe a treatment known as puberty blockers. And remember, I did a video about that, characterizing these actions as abuse. Puberty blockers are reversible drugs often used by a Hall T child who wants to delay puberty, including changes such as getting a period or deepening a voice. The bill would also prohibit gender confirming surgeries and hormone therapies. Experts say the transition process for young children is more likely to involve social affirmation, such as allowing them to wear clothing they like and choose their names and pronouns. A child in puberty might then take a puberty blocker with the consultation of a doctor. Later on, a young adult might consider surgery. Advocates say lawmakers in at least 5 states have filed the bill restricting medical access for Hall T youth in tandem with the restrictive sports bill. Swanson's bill allows for co-ed, intramural, and interscholastic sports to continue at colleges and universities, but said a biologically male student cannot play on a team for a biologically female student. The bill does not define what biologically male or female means. Well, it's pretty self-explanatory. Like, do we have to go into detail? Like, are we really questioning now? Has it really come to the point where they don't know what a biologically male and female is? But all of a sudden, we're all supposed to know what a Hall T man and a Hall T woman is. We're just supposed to know. Y'all see the direction we're headed in? Swanson declined in an interview, but said in a statement that the bill is intended to protect women's rights under the Title IX, the federal civil rights law prohibiting sex-based discrimination in schools. This bill is a common sense measure that is sadly necessary in a world where male athletes are robbing women of both championship trophies and educational opportunities, Swanson said in a statement Thursday. Her staff did not respond to questions. Now it's an issue, but like I said, a lot of women open their doors and open their arms to allow that foolishness to come on in. Now you can't shake them. Listen, we've been trying to tell you what was coming down the pipeline. I've been screaming that for the last couple of years. Harvey's been talking about it. You even had other women who do YouTube videos on this platform say the same thing. But we just got labeled this and that phobic, and it's like, okay, y'all don't see it now, but you will see it eventually in the future. Oh, it's coming. And guess what? It has came, and now it is here. Their worst nightmare is upon them. And at this point, I don't even know if there's anything they can possibly do about that. Now, what I've noticed? They're doing this mainly coming after women's sports. But you have not heard about a Hall T, let me get it right, man, basically a person who was born a female who wanted to transition into a man, tried to compete to play for or on men's teams. So what does that tell me? Are they trying to tell us that those who are transitioning from man to woman, quote unquote, are doing this because they find that it'll be easier to win versus a woman who was born biologically female who transitioned into a quote unquote man is finding it more difficult to play against actual men. I'm peeping all sides of this thing. This thing is not a straight line at all. It's not a regular shape, to be quite honest. It's something that has not yet been established. It's still being designed. It says it would also allow students to take legal action against the school or the UIL if they felt they were deprived an opportunity to play on a sports team due to violations of this bill, or if they're retaliated against for supporting a school for violations under this law. A Senate bill filed by Representative Charles Perry would prevent Hall T girls in public schools and charters from playing on a girls' sports team. The bill defines biological sex as the one assigned at the student's birth and correctly stated on the student's official birth certificate, basically saying y'all can go and change it all you want, but we're going to go by the one that you were assigned to at birth. Perry said Hall T girls, who he referred to in an interview as individuals who are, quote, confused, could have had an unfair advantage in strength and ability. Boom. There it is. See, that's the part they don't want to talk about. They would have an unfair advantage. This is not fairness at all. This is not equality. But then again, I said fairness and equality in America does not exist. This is purely 100% devoted to the preservation of Title IX and allowing women to compete against women in their peer groups in that biological category. So they know they have an equal and fighting chance based on an ability and not over some political narrative of the day that undermines fairness, he said. The academy advocates and medical professionals have debunked this argument, with one study showing Hall T people taking hormones did not have a significant performance advantage in distance running. 16 other states have passed Hall T friendly policies regarding sports, and sports are not falling apart, said Representative Jessica Gonzalez, a Democrat. I just had to point that out there, who is a member of the Academy Legislative Caucus, of course. This bill is not bought by science, but by discrimination. If the legislature passes either of the bills, it's likely to be challenged in the courts. Idaho was the first state to pass a law seeking to block Hall T youth from sports last March. The law has been challenged in federal court and has been blocked by a federal judge as the legal challenge proceeds through the courts. U.S. representatives have also filed a bill that would make it a federal civil rights violation to allow Hall T women to participate in girls' sports. In Connecticut, and I hate this word, they put it there. It says 3 cisgender females. Why can't they just say 3 women or 3 females? Why do they have, athletes sued in federal court argued that competing against Hall T female athletes violates their Title IX rights. And I think I remember doing a video about that. That sounds familiar. Multiple Texas universities did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the bill, but athletic directors at universities where similar bills have been filed expressed concern about repercussions from the NCAA, which already has extensive guidelines for Hall T athletes' participation in sport athletics. It's unclear if this law would apply to NCAA sports, but it could impact whether the organization events in Texas. The NCAA also relocated several events in North Carolina after the state passed a so-called bathroom bill in 2016. I remember that. That was from the, they were going to have the All-Star game in Charlotte, but that was right around the time of that bill. And then when it happened, they ended up facing so much controversy and scrutiny that they didn't even allow them to have the All-Star game there. So literally at the last minute, they had to switch venues and put the All-Star game in New Orleans, like literally at the last minute, because I think it happened in January, and the All-Star game, of course, as we know, is in February. So they had to make a quick switch and rearrange some scheduling for whatever New Orleans probably had going on at that time and put them there. I remember that. Texas lawmakers have tried to limit school sports for Hall T students before. In 2017, Mac Beggs, then a high school junior, was required to compete on the women's wrestling team despite the fact that he was a Hall T boy and taking testosterone to transition. He later publicly advocated for the UIL to change its regulations for Hall T athletes. That legislative session, Representative Bob Hall filed a bill that would allow the UIL to disqualify students who take doctor-approved steroids, effectively banning Hall T athletes receiving hormone therapy from participating. The bill passed the Senate but died in a committee. Charles Evangelista, a haughty man with a name like that, I'm not surprised, and student at the University of North Texas, was in high school when lawmakers debated the so-called bathroom bill. At the time, he was just starting to come out as haughty and remembers being very scared about what the legislation would mean for his life. Now he sees another wave of proposals that could strike fear into the haughty youth once again. Academy advocates expressed similar concerns, citing data from the Trevor Project, which saw calls to its Academy suicide hotline spike in the days after Texas introduced its bathroom bill in 2017. You want to know what's so crazy? The fact that they had to have a suicide line on because of a bathroom bill. I'm gonna just leave that one alone. I'm not gonna go too deep into that one. I'm gonna leave that one hanging right there, and y'all can spell it out. But before I end this video, I wanted to talk about that tweet that PC Man had made that, like I said, that made a lot of sense. What if a lot of these women, or the females, because I'm assuming that many of them are minors if they're in high school, probably have some haughty friends or those who identify as haughty. What if they, have a connection or a bond with them? And then all of a sudden that bond gets broken because, they want to come and they play in sports that, a biologically born woman or female is playing. Let's take it on a collegiate level, because that's where the tweet really was at, and it made sense. On a collegiate level, what if a female, 18 years or older, is going to play basketball on a scholarship for her school, and she doesn't get the position even though she worked hard to get that spot, and she gets pushed aside for a haughty member, someone who was biologically born a man, who now identifies as a woman or a female, and gets that scholarship ahead of her? What's that going to do to her? It's not like she got passed up for another biologically estrogen-filled XX chromosomed female. She got passed up for a testosterone-filled, or trying to rid testosterone-filled, muscle-bound, probably tall, XY chromosome male masquerading as a woman. How's that going to make her receive people in that community? She's going to see that person as someone who took her spot, or someone she had to let have her spot, all because of some equality and fairness. Because I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen. And what's going to happen in that scenario, and probably many more scenarios, is you're going to have a lot of women who are going to really reject haughty. But like I said in the beginning of this video, many women's advocacy groups and everything like that, because they did not speak up and push, to not have them be so close and around, now they're finding their way into your spaces, and you can't shake them. That's just like when I was telling black women, when they appear on these talk shows that's geared for women to talk about women things or whatever it is that women talk about. Now you have this person right here who was not even biologically born a woman talking about your issues, but y'all were some of the same ones that men had no space or no place to talk about what women go through. But yet you have someone on there who was biologically born a man, who may not identify as a man anymore, but biologically he still is a man, come into your space and talk about women's issues. Amazing how that cycle works. And before you know it, they're going to push you out, and then they're going to make the space theirs. They're going to colonize your space. They're colonizing it now. But nobody listens to us. Nobody listens to me, because apparently black men, toxic masculinity. So who would listen to that, right? Well, that's the end of this video. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe if you have not done so already. Text the number that is pinned down below so you can receive notifications every time I upload a new video.